Hey guys, welcome. I'm Catherine and this is Little Bits of Heaven Homestead. You are joining me now for week 2 of low-key practical prepping. And my focus here is definitely on continuity of comfort. And that is a point that I can't stress enough as far as your main purpose and goal here in being prepared is you want to make sure that your family's needs are not only covered, but that they're not uncomfortable through the process. And I'd also like you, and maybe you guys could drop a comment below on what it is that you're here specifically wanting to learn about as far as being prepared. And in that journey, I'd also like you to define what it is that you're preparing for. So our government, as far as emergency preparedness, I believe that they recommend at minimum a 3-day supply of food and water and basic necessities. So if that is what you are looking for, we can knock that out in almost no time flat with very little financial resources involved. If you are looking to prepare for something larger, be it job loss, illness, minor or major catastrophic event, weather, I mean, you name it, think about it, and really define what it is that your goals are and what you're preparing for, because that's going to give you a better roadmap as far as what it is you're doing here. Today, I am starting with short-term food. So if you didn't catch my last video, it was all about water. And in fact, I'm gonna encourage you every single week that you go shopping, or every time you go shopping, that you pick up at least 1 gallon of water. Keep plugging that away. And your ultimate goal is a minimum of 1 to 2 weeks worth of water for each and every family member in your household. And then you need to also consider pets. That does get a little daunting if you're trying to knock that out all at once. Rule of thumb is minimum you want 1 to 2 gallons per person per day, just for basic survival. That doesn't include hygiene such as bathing or washing clothes or anything above and beyond, just your basic survival. So if you can continue to just grab a gallon here, a gallon there, stick it in a closet, stick it somewhere on a shelf, stick it under your bed, that way it's a little less daunting to face rather than picking up your whole supply at once. So that was last week, but like I said, water is life, continue to plug away at that. So today we are talking short-term food supply. And with anything, I am going to encourage you to store what you use what you store. There is nothing worse than putting something on a shelf, depending on it, and 5, 10, 15 years later, you go and everything is rancid or turned bad or moldy, and you don't want to be putting foods on your shelf that nobody's going to eat. This is all about quality of life, guys. You want to make it enjoyable. You want to know that it's not going to be a fight when you serve something on the plate to your kids and you're already in a stressful situation, because let's face it, if you are dipping into your preps, it's a stressful situation. So that's the whole point of having it, is to prepare for a rainy day, just like an insurance policy. So you want to make sure that it's stuff that you enjoy. And I don't care if it's store-bought goods or if you're growing all your own food and you are putting cans of your canned vegetables away, you need to be using that stuff. You need to treat it like your own grocery store. I call this my mart. So, and I shop from my own shelves, and you have to rotate, treat it just like a grocery store. So you're watching things, even though expiration dates, I don't put a whole lot of stock in them as far as quality of the contents in the can. I've had things that are far outdated and things that are just fine, and then things that are quote unquote fresh that have been no good. And so you really need to be opening these up and using them, and you need to have a plan in place, because if you're not used to cooking and then you hit an emergency situation and you're forced to cook stuff and you have no idea where to start, that's an added layer of stress. Don't do that to yourself. So store stuff you use. And if you're not a cook, welcome aboard, because I'm going to teach you how to use your food storage as well. So today we are prepping on a budget. So that's something I also keep in mind, is that I assume that you guys aren't from unlimited resources, that you are probably, and if not possibly, struggling along because we're in the middle of this pandemic and things have been crazy, and we are all now fully aware that our economy and our businesses are not necessarily fail-proof. That's kind of scary. And so I hope that this is one way that you can give yourself some peace of mind. So what I have in front of me, not this stuff, ignore that. We're gonna pretend like that's not there till I talk to you about it later. But all of this stuff, and you can't see all of it, I got for $10, but I'm gonna show you what I got. And so you're not talking about a huge investment. Pretty much anybody can do that with some minor changes in your weekly budget. It may require some sacrifice. You guys, it's okay to sacrifice. I'm going to tell you that it's okay to sacrifice. We can do without right now to ensure that we're taken care of later. I know that that isn't a popular concept these days. You need to embrace that. It's okay to be uncomfortable. But we are going to do everything that we can to do minor uncomfort now so that when we are down the road and facing potential total discomfort, we can make that as comfortable as possible. It's this trade-off. And so, but minor discomfort now, far better than total discomfort later. Okay, so if I were starting from scratch and I had nothing in my pantry and I was looking at my hungry kids and I wanted to give them something that they were going to feel good about, I'm gonna do comfort foods. Things like peanut butter and jelly. Inexpensive if you go with little jars. Like I said, my total investment here is about $10. You wanna look at it through the scope of ensuring breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're gonna wanna take into account caloric needs. If you are chopping wood all day in order to feed your fire, you're gonna need a whole lot more calories than if you're living a sedentary life. A 3-year-old needs a lot less than a 20-year-old, but you also need to take account into your preps that you might have some dietary needs that maybe I'm not covering, so don't take this as like this box you have to fit into. Make it fit your needs. So peanut butter and jelly. I don't eat peanut butter, but my kid does. If I were gonna do this for me, I would be buying almond butter. Almond butter in a little can like this will eat up half my $10 budget. This, as far as penny to penny, was a much better buy. And so I'm in a little different position where I'm buying more in bulk and large because I already have my pantry built. So what I'm doing isn't quite necessarily what I'm recommending to you, but I'm gonna give you the bones of what I do. So comfort foods, peanut butter and jelly. Most kids, if not all kids, and even adults, because it's gonna be reminiscent of your childhood, this is a good one, will make you happy. You want some sort of protein source, tuna, canned chicken, any sort of canned meat. You can sit on the shelf. It's good for at least a year. You could probably push it longer. You can incorporate it in casseroles, soups. It doesn't have to be eaten directly out of the can with some relatively common spices. You could fancy this up so that it's palatable, and you can make things like chicken salad, tuna salad. I mean, it's not just, you're not just eating from a can, you're gonna incorporate these into meals. Salt. I would buy salt all day long. I buy this in bulk, typically 25 to 50 pound bags. I haven't seen those on the shelf since the pandemic. So buy what you can. Salt is so important. Not only is this important for maintaining electrolytes and making food palatable, you can use it to preserve food. It can be used medicinally. Salt is a must-have. If you put this on your list every single week, that would not be a bad thing. It stores indefinitely. Salt has no shelf life. It might get a little hard and you have to bang it. Still good. Indefinite shelf life. Must have. I don't know if I told you guys. Must have. Okay. So this is tomato sauce or tomato paste. Sorry, I always want to call it sauce. Don't buy tomato sauce. Don't buy spaghetti sauce. Don't buy tomato soup. You can do all the same things with a small can of tomato paste. You just dilute it to your liking, add some spices. It can become pasta sauce. It can be pizza sauce. It could be tomato soup. It could just reduced a little bit. It is tomato sauce. So these things are cheap, less than 50 cents, I believe. So this week, what I'm gonna recommend you get is four things of tomato paste. I am going to recommend that you pick up some sort of soup, something easy, because especially in the first days of some sort of major stress event, you're not gonna wanna cook. You're not gonna wanna put together gourmet meals. Anything you can pop and just put in a pot, all the better. If you're a homesteader and you've got all sorts of jars, even better. This is, like I said, I'm going off the assumption that we are starting from scratch and you don't have a zoo in your backyard like a lot of us do. So 1 can of soup. 4 things of tomato paste, a thing of peanut butter, a thing of jelly, 2 cans of meat. This thing, the salt, 50 cents or so, you can afford this, do it. And then juice. I like canned juice. I'd recommend 2 cans. If you have kids, well, even if you don't have kids in the house, this is a nice refreshing break from plain water. And again, this is all about enjoyment. So that, guys, is $10. And you get a lot of food for $10 to put away in your pantry. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick up a tote and I'm gonna show you guys the purchasing power of just a little bit. If you set it aside and pretend like it's not there, and well, figuratively, but then you keep it into your rotation. It's part of your grocery store, it's My Mart. So you've got it, it's this little buffer and it's protected and you're gonna replace it as you use it. So, but I'm gonna show you the purchasing power of a little bit here and a little bit there and how it does add up. Okay, so differences as far as what I'm doing. So instead of regular table salt, I buy pink Himalayan sea salt. I buy it in bulk. This is from Costco. This is like $8.50. So it's really talking about your purchasing power and what your ultimate goals are. If you shop around, this was at the big box store for $3.50 about. Same thing, pink Himalayan sea salt, but it's in a smaller bag. I found the same thing at the Dollar Tree for $1. So if you shop around, you can definitely do some really heavy hitting shopping. If you're shopping at the dollar store, you might be able to even get more bang for your buck. But I would like to strongly encourage you to start. Start somewhere, put something on your shelf. It gives you peace of mind. You can breathe a little easier. And that way, if and when some sort of hiccup in the system does come, you're not the one fighting over toilet paper in the aisles, guys. Don't be that person. And don't be the hoarder that shows up at the big box store and takes every single thing of salt they have. Let's do this slow. Let's do this steady. Let's do this sanely. Okay? And this is doable. Do something, guys, okay? I'm gonna stand on this soapbox and beat it as loud as I can. I've been telling you guys for at least 3-4 years now, do something. It's not hard. It'll make you feel a lot more secure. So I hope this was helpful. I will be joining you guys next week with another prep of the week. So if this was anything that you did find helpful, if you could please give me a thumbs up, share it with those that you think may benefit from it. If you have not already subscribed, I would appreciate it if you do so. Thanks for joining me, guys, and we'll talk later.